Hey guys, I'm Dineth, currently a third year medical student at the University of New South Wales, and I scored an ATAR of 99.95. That's what we're going to talk about today. Looking back, I've broken the process down into the 4 most important factors that you can use to boost your marks, okay? And these are subject selection, planning, study routines, and mindset. So I'm going to talk about each of these aspects, and timestamps will also be provided in the video description so you can skip around to whichever part you want to see. Okay, so firstly, when choosing the subject, a few of the things that you need to think about are, firstly, do you like the subject? Are you good at the subject? And how does the subject scale? For me, the most important out of these 3 factors is the first one. Do I like the subject? And that's just because it's way easier to study something and to work hard at something that you enjoy, right? I'll just walk you through how I picked my subjects. In New South Wales, we have to pick at least 10 units of subjects. And then the subjects which count towards our final mark, our final ATAR, is the best 10 of those units. So for me, my favorite subject by far was mathematics. So I wanted to do as much maths as I possibly could. So I picked the 4 units of maths option. In year 11, I also really enjoyed chemistry and physics, so I picked those subjects as well because I was confident that I would be happy to put in a lot of effort in those subjects. In New South Wales, it's also compulsory to do 2 units of English. So even though it's undoubtedly my worst subject and the subject that I hated, I still had to cop 2 units of English. And so this made a total of 10 units for my HSC. For me, the big choice I had to make was whether I should drop Extension 1 English or not. In year 11, Extension 1 English had miraculously became my best subject. But thinking a bit more carefully about this, do I like Extension 1 English? Absolutely not. Am I good at the subject? Well, I probably did improve a lot over the course of year 11, but I still think a lot of that was down to luck. And finally, does the subject scale well? Sure. In the end, the most important question for me was still that first one. Do I like Extension 1 English? So I ended up dropping the subject because I really just couldn't trust myself to be bothered enough to put in the effort that was needed for such a difficult subject. This also meant that I was doing 10 units. Some people like to do more than 10 units, say 12 units for example, in case they mess up a subject, so they have some backup units to preserve their ATAR. For me, I felt that if I did any extra subjects like Extension 1 English or biology or something like that, I wouldn't be as committed to them, I wouldn't probably like them as much, I wouldn't be able to try my best in all of them. I was confident that with the 10 units I had chosen, I would be able to put in the absolute utmost effort into these 10 units. Even if I stuffed up to one of them along the way, I was still confident that I would be able to bring myself to try my hardest and make a comeback in that subject. In the end, everything turned out great and I was very happy with my decision to drop Extension 1 English. So the moral of the story here is that, trust your gut instinct and just really do what you like, okay? Shane and I will both agree that doing your 10 best units is the best bet if you really want to ace the HSC. The second most important factor in getting a high ATAR is planning, okay? This is really important. So at the start of each term, make sure you know when your exams are, okay? So mark out in your calendar or your timetable when exactly each exam is. Also, at the start of each term, collect all your notes and past papers that you need for each exam, okay? Don't leave this until it's too close to the exam because then you're just going to be like super stressed out and you're just going to be wasting time trying to collect all your resources when it's too late. Thirdly, make a list of all the tasks that you're planning to do for each exam. So say I have a mathematics exam in week 6 or something, right? Then I'm going to plan out all the homework exercises, all the past papers, just every single task that I need to do to feel confident that I can do well in this mathematics exam. Okay, then after making a list of everything that you have to get done, you can slot each of these tasks into a timetable or a study planner or a diary. So we've talked about this idea a few times in our previous videos. There's a bit about this in Shane's 99 ATAR video and also my first study hard video. So if you want more information about this timetable type of strategy, go ahead and look at those videos. Also keep in mind that it's a good idea to try and space out your tasks over the duration of the term. So for each day, try to keep at least one task that you need to do, okay? It's a lot better to space out your tasks than to cram everything at the end, just get really stressed and not to retain a lot of information. Something a bit underrated that fits into the planning section of this video is to use deadlines effectively. You know how just before an exam, you feel like a surge of adrenaline and you're super motivated, you're like super efficient in trying to get all your work done, but a week prior to the exam, you're like really slow, you're lazy, you can't be bothered, there's still a week left, so why do I need to do this, right? How do you hijack this sort of system, okay? So what me and my friends used to do was we moved the deadlines forward, thereby creating fake deadlines, okay? So what I mean by this is, say we had to do an English essay on the Monday of week 7 or something like that, right? What we do is we create a fake deadline, say on Friday of week 6, And so we all try to get our essay done by the Friday of week 6, okay? To make this a bit more interesting, we add a couple of stakes to the picture. So we say, okay, whoever can't do their essay by the Friday of week 6 has to, change the DP on Facebook to something embarrassing, or has to pay up $20 or something like that. And so these stakes make it a lot more meaningful and make you a lot more energized to try to reach these fake deadlines. All of a sudden, you're feeling the surge of adrenaline on the Friday of week 6 instead of all the way closer to the Monday of week 7. And so in this way, most of us were able to finish our tasks a lot earlier than the rest of the grade, and you have a few more days to prepare to make things better if you need to. And we found that it was really, really helpful. We all really benefited from this and got much better ATARs as a result. If you've liked the video so far, please subscribe. We do have a lot of other videos like this which have similar sort of content about study strategies and how to find little loopholes to increase your marks. Now the third thing is study routine. The good thing about high school compared to something like university is that each day has the same sort of structure. You wake up, you go to school, come back home, like eat some food, and then you can customize your day from like 5 p.m. to whenever you sleep. And it's the same sort of schedule every single day. This means that you can get really, really good at honing and like perfecting your daily study routine and getting things into a habit. I was able to study for 5 hours per day during the weekdays and 8 hours a day in the weekends. And I actually credit this as being probably a really, really big factor in getting an ATAR of 99.95. Obviously, this was really hard at first. On the weekdays, I had to start with first, 3 hours, then try to increase this to 4 hours, then finally I was hitting 5 hours, and then I just had to maintain it at 5 hours. And then after studying for the same amount each day for a couple of weeks, you just really get used to it. And it also feels quite nice and satisfying after you've done your quota of study hours for the day. In the weekends, 8 hours actually isn't as bad as you might think. You should try it once, I dare you. You may surprise yourself. Keep in mind though that it's really important not to compromise on your sleep at any time, okay? 7 to 9 hours per day, no excuses. If you start to cut down on your sleep, it's really going to affect your cognition and your memory, and it's definitely going to bite you in the back in the long run, okay? Personally, obviously there were a few times in the year in year 12 when I wasn't able to sleep for 7 hours a day. These were just when I stuffed up my planning, there were some deadlines which were a bit too close, and maybe I went to 6 hours at some points. But definitely for most of year 12, pretty much every single day apart from like 3 days in the year, I slept for at least 7 hours, okay? It's really important. Okay, the fourth factor here is your mindset, which is something that people don't really talk about, but I think it's pretty important. In year 12, you're definitely going to be faced with many situations where you're going to get really stressed or you're going to be super nervous, and you're still going to have to perform to the best of your ability on the day. You may have heard of the stress curve, which is a graph basically showing that a little bit of stress is good. It increases your performance, it makes you more alert, but too much stress decreases your overall ability and you just choke under pressure. For me, I used to get super nervous in maths tests. Like, I'm not joking, I used to get insanely nervous. And something that really helped me is meditation. I'm actually being serious here. Basically what I used to do was, in the mornings of my exam blocks, just try to close my eyes, just try to think about my breathing, taking really deep, slow breaths. And every time you felt a anxious thought or like just a pang of nerves, just focus on the thought and just let it come and go, passing by like some traffic. I honestly felt that, after just 10 minutes, I felt really relaxed. Pretty surprising how relaxed you actually can get in that sort of state. And I felt that I was able to hold my nerves in the maths exams a lot better after doing this. I really do have to emphasize that, during exam blocks, it's really important to be in a good mental space, and it should be pretty much your top priority during these times. Okay, so what do you do if things go wrong in an exam block? This can be super discouraging, especially if you've worked really hard and you just feel like all your efforts have gone to waste. Trust me, I've been there. For me, I really messed up my 3-unit half-yearly maths exam, so I was feeling pretty down for a couple of days. But yeah, I was talking to this older student and he was just like, you always have more opportunities to prove yourself. And like, yeah, I was able to make a comeback and I still ended up getting an ATAR of 99.95. So, things all worked out in the end. Even if you feel down, there's always a chance to come back up. Even if you've stuffed up your school's trial exams, even if your school ranks are completely not how you wanted them to be, you still have the HSC exams. And in New South Wales, Australia, the system is such that everything that you do in your school, so all your school marks, your school exams, your school trials, they go into half of your final ATAR, and the final HSC exams go into the other half. So even if you've completely bombed all your school exams, you've stuffed up in your trial exams, you still have like 50% left, which is all purely based on your final HSC exams, okay? So you always have that one last chance to salvage your marks and to try your best and to do something that you're proud of. And yeah, back when I was in year 10, I could never have dreamed that I would have been able to get an ATAR of 99.95. So just start building these good study habits, good study routines, good planning, choose your subjects wisely and have a good mindset. Do all these things and give yourself a chance to do really well, and you may surprise yourself, okay? Dream big, the more impossible, the better. Thank you so much for watching this video, guys. If you thought it was useful, please like, comment and subscribe. We really appreciate it. And I'll see you guys soon for my next video on an overview of how to get into medical school in Australia.